Hello, I'm Ronnie Eldridge. Welcome to Eldridge & Company. In 1915, a group of women founded the Women's City Club because they wanted to vote and to be part of the city's political life. 100 years later, the club continues its tradition of activism and fierce advocacy to address the economic and social justice issues New York women face. Jacqueline Ebanks is the club's executive director and my guest today. Welcome.
Thank you, Ronnie.
The club is really lucky to have you. And we're going to talk about your background later.
Yes.
But I'm sure you can give a better description, a fuller description of what the Women's City Club is.
It's important for me to say that it's a non-partisan, non-profit, activist organization. And we focus on multiple issues. And the real point for WCC is that we want to educate women, to inform them, to shape public policy so that they can improve life for all New Yorkers. And it's really important that we build a city that's equitable, fair, and just for all, that all its citizens can thrive. And I think that's an important mission for us. But what is equally important is that women need to be at all the tables in order to make this the best city it can be.
And they need to be together. There's nothing like being in a room or in an activity with other women.
With other women. And I think we advance each other individually, but also professionally. And I think when we build that education and we help create an informed citizen, that is really important because women also, with their caregiving role, help build other leaders. And that's why WCC is such a powerful force.
Where do they come from, the women? How do they find out about it?
At this juncture, women find out about it when other members tell them about it, the WCC, yeah. But women also learn about us on our website, WCCNY.org. And so when you visit, you learn about membership, but more importantly, you learn about the actions you can take to influence life in New York City.
It's a very enriching kind of thing for the city also, because God knows we need more people to be interested in the government that is supposed to make the city a better place.
And we need more people. As you know, in 2014, we were faced with the dismal report that 24% of eligible voters participated in the mayoral election. And, you know, that means 76% of us did not vote, eligible voters. And it is unacceptable. It's unacceptable for this city and it's unacceptable for the nation. And part of the challenge we recognize is information. Our world is so complex, and understanding what it takes to run a city like New York, as richly diverse and as richly complex, it's difficult for our citizens to comprehend it. And WCC is there to help bridge the gap, right?
I'm always shocked I'm always surprised, not shocked, at how large the city is when I travel to another borough, how different the communities are. You can go down an avenue, Bedford Avenue in Brooklyn. You go from one community to another just across the street. I mean, there is such complexity to this city.
Such complexity.
People don't understand it.
People don't understand it, and I think that's one of the reasons WCC, we're looking for ways to extend our reach so that actually all boroughs have a voice in our organization.
So
and we produce today, the Citywide Guide to Services and Resources, borough by borough. And at the end of September, these 5 directories are available on our website. And if anyone needs it, they simply call our office and we will send a copy to them. But what it also tells you is just how broad and wide and diverse New York City is. And moving forward, we're going to go into the boroughs and reach to the nonprofits that have used this directory and talk to them about how effective it was. What can we do to improve it? Because we're preparing for the second iteration in 2018. As members, when we go into the boroughs, we learn about the challenges in the boroughs. And we have a vision over the next few years that we're going to have borough-specific activities, because that's really going to be important for New York City. We're one city, but there's a lot of difference happening locally. And that local diversity, if you will, makes the city as powerful as it is.
That's an enormous challenge. Do you now have members that represent each borough?
Yes, we have members in all boroughs. It really is amazing. Our membership, the age range is as young as 18 and even younger at 99. So it's this broad multi-generational network of women representing all boroughs. And we come together to look at issues in 7 areas of interest: criminal justice, the environment, good government, health, housing and homelessness, income inequality, and public education. And we're really studying the policy issues within these areas that impact particularly negatively low and moderate income families, and also women of all races and age. And then we have public programs. I want to tell you about the Lunch with Legislator series that we have, because that's where we invite legislators to come in an informal setting and to speak with our members, to hear questions from them. And it's really enriching. One, because I think the legislators discover a resource in the city. We're here to support and advance New York City and to inform them about the challenges that individuals face and give them stories, but also supplement that with hard facts. And we're there to push them, to say, it's nice to have the goal, but we need to accomplish it.
Do they come back to you to urge you to support specific things?
They come back
So
to us.
Back and forth.
It's back and forth. And we tell them, quite frankly, when sometimes the piece of legislation misses the mark. And encourage them to push harder. The other thing we do is we work in coalitions with other nonprofits. The important piece to our democracy is that people participate. And so in coalition, we bring numbers. And that's really the value of the work we do. So as an individual organization, we're mobilizing our members, we're educating our members, and as a member of coalition, we're bringing that force.
Is that other women's organizations, or it's a mix?
It's a mix. It's a mix.
So what we're talking about, in a way, are policies that affect women, but they really affect families and everybody. But it comes from a woman's head, in a way.
Yeah.
Because, do you agree with me that...
The thing about it is that we're not a monolith, right? There's a range of viewpoints. And one of the things we want to be able to build, which we really have lost, is this facility, if you will, to be able to speak with people of different viewpoints. I'm an African-American woman. I may define myself as a liberal, but there are African Americans who are conservative. For me, that's a foreign construct, but I must be able to talk with them and educate them and learn from them. And I think you see this huge divide now in our country because we're unable.
I was going to say, as you can see now in the way the government works, it's so polarized, and they can't talk to each other.
Absolutely, and the polarization brings paralysis, and we get nothing done, and the burden is placed on low-income families. The burden is placed on single mothers. The burden is placed disproportionately on people of color. And that's why we have to learn to listen to different ideas, and it enriches the democracy. That's the key point. Nobody has control of what's right. We're learning as we go.
You mentioned criminal justice, and I'm very interested in that area. And we always talk about how many men, especially men of color, are incarcerated, the high number of. But we don't talk about the effect of that incarceration on the women and their families.
The women and their families, and also we don't talk about, because the numbers are so huge, the difference between the number of women incarcerated and the number of men incarcerated, that women are overshadowed. And the fact is, the women, therefore, and families are hit doubly. We had a discussion the other day at WCC on the criminal justice system. And they talked about somebody who goes to Rikers frequently, that there's always a line to visit the men.
Absolutely.
There is none to visit the women.
Absolutely.
And I cannot imagine the isolation that must cause on the women in prisons. So that's one of the reasons we're looking at these issues. When we look at them at WCC, we really want to look at its impact on women and girls.
Absolutely.
And to highlight that. Yes, we care about all citizens, but there is a unique burden at times that women face in these issues. And we want to bring that to the table.
And the effect on children.
Absolutely.
Tell me what else you're doing. What?
I talked about publications. Let me talk about our task forces. We created task forces to focus on very specific issues in those broad areas that we discussed. And these are member-led task forces. So a group of 15, 20 women come together to analyze an issue and to create public education activities. The 4 we have had running this year is a task force on public housing. We've been looking at how can we bring to the table some solid approaches to improving and preserving public housing. One of the things we discussed is that many people don't know what we're talking about when we say public housing. What is the magnitude of the issue? What does public housing contribute to New York City in the space of affordability of housing? So we are publishing a little guide, a little booklet that gives an overview, sort of facts and figures of public housing in New York City. Because we believe if you want to have input on it, you've got to know the situation and understand the facts. Then we have the task force for sex ed in public schools. And one of the things we're very concerned about when we say public education at WCC, it's not only the academics, but how are we building whole human beings? And we really care about the physical education that they receive, the sex education that they receive so that they can have healthy relationships. We care a lot about having arts and music back in our schools. So we talk about those things so that we generate fully developed human beings.
What do you find out about sex education in schools?
Well, we in Coalition, we found out that data isn't being collected on whether or not it's happening. What's the quality of the sex education being provided? And so we were fortunate to work with the legislature and had 3 bills passed this past legislative session. City, so that we will begin to ask the Department of Education to document the sexual education that they're providing for students. How, when, what. And it's not just the mechanics of it, but it's the totality of relationships. When you think of it, with poor relationships, we tend to make poor decisions. We talk a lot about the reduction of crime in New York City, but the one indicator that continues to be on the rise is violence against women. And so it begins somewhere. And yes, the home is a part of it, but school has a real opportunity to educate our kids and to transform the nature of relationships in the city.
We always we have all these different expressions, you know. We're paying a lot of attention to bullying. That's part of it.
That's a part of it.
It just all goes together.
It goes together,
yeah.
Yes.
I remember sex education, the fuss about talking about children with a parent.
2 parents.
Do you remember that fuss in the city? So
absolutely.
That's so passé now, right?
It's passé.
It's illegal.
It's illegal, but we still find that the education isn't happening. And one of the things that I remember that fight back in the early
right.
90s myself, and we've become convinced that parent education as a part of this process is key. So quite a few nonprofits are looking at how do we communicate with parents who struggle
and who are working
etc. So we're looking at it very holistically now. Yes, kids need to be informed. They need to be informed from multiple sources. We're extremely mindful of the role of the internet in this space, and how do we help balance that with solid education at home and in school so that we build healthy relationships and healthy families, however we want to construct them.
Another task force?
The other task force is a task force on fair work. We're looking at flexibility and predictability of work.
Yes. When you know where you're going to go to work.
Exactly.
Right? Not changing the shifts.
And not changing the shifts so that we can plan our lives a little bit more logically. And we can also be assured of the income we'll generate. Because for hourly workers, when you tell me a week, 2 hours before that I can't come to work, that's a loss of income. Income that I was probably counting in on budgeting in order to pay my expenses. And so we really have to be diligent to ensure that we get the best legislation passed. The City Council, the mayor the other day announced this effort, and we're going to be working in concert with other advocates and with City Council members to ensure that we have the best legislation passed, and not just for one sector of workers, but for all workers.
Right.
Yes.
And so what, how many? Now, nursing mothers.
Nursing mothers is my final one, thank you. The task force for community and workplace support for nursing mothers. The country is woefully behind every other country in providing support for parents, and particularly nursing mothers who return to the workforce or who choose to breastfeed in public or who need to breastfeed in public because you have a crying, screaming child who is hungry. And we're trying to identify ways in which lactation centers can be placed in public facilities. We're trying to learn first, what's the landscape? There is certainly some appetite and receptiveness to this. The Brooklyn Borough President's Office has a lactation space, and we know that many places do this. But we need to make sure that it's consistently afforded and for our mothers and available for our mothers.
Yeah.
And that's a critical piece. And that people do it without stigma. It's a natural part of life.
So how do you pick a subject like that? Is somebody there, a nursing mother who's faced it, or do you get people who are professionals in fields?
Yes, yes. So the issue comes in multiple ways, but it's driven by our membership. And it's also driven by staff through analysis, recognizing sort of critical need, okay? And so the nursing mothers issue came through one of our members very interested in health, and recognizing that children and need the breastfeeding in order to build sort of a strong, healthy life. We also recognize that there are many provisions to making this happen, but the enforcement isn't there and the resources aren't there. And so the issues come to us from our members. They have to write a proposal working with staff. It's 3-5 page where they really look at the issue in a group and propose to the Public Policy Committee of WCC that this is something in which we must spend our investment.
How does the task force get formed? Does
volunteers.
The task force come after the subject or before the subject?
Either. It can be generated in either way.
And how often do you meet?
Oh, they meet monthly, and they meet as frequently or as infrequently, but mostly everybody's been meeting monthly, and they probably only take 1 month of the year off, which is August. And but everybody is doing study, research, meeting, and then we bring experts to the table. So if we see a book or some, being published on it, we bring that expert to the table. We also then create these public forums where we invite other nonprofits and the general public to participate. So when we did criminal justice, we were focusing on Raise the Age, which is raising the age of criminal responsibility so that 16 and 17-year-olds are not treated as adults. We had held a public forum. And we brought the Correctional Association to the table, the Citizens Committee for Children also. And then that was a broad forum with about 40 to 50 attendees where we really discussed for the general public this critical issue. Once we did that, we launched a postcard writing campaign to our legislators. And we're going to return to that issue this year, and that's a state level issue.
I was going to say, that's a state level.
Yeah, because we were unsuccessful and have been for the
And do you include the governor?
Absolutely. Absolutely. He is definitely at the table.
There is a move to do that, isn't there?
Yes. So we are a part of that coalition, the Raise the Age Coalition in New York State, but we also, as a part of that coalition, create our own events to really broaden the knowledge base on this issue.
How do we increase the desire of women to do this?
I think the desire...
in 1915, there was an urgency. You wanted to vote.
Right.
You wanted to have a voice. Now, as you said, you have the right to vote, but only 25% of the people vote.
Vote, right.
How do we convince people?
I think people are convinced.
Affected by these issues.
I think people, we don't have a problem recruiting members. Probably the most difficult part that we have is having the availability of time to focus on these efforts and really execute in a way.
That's a change over the years?
That's a change over the years.
Because you got working women.
The position, when we started in 1915, women didn't work.
Right.
Now we work. Now we have to work. And therefore that creates an added complexity. So when we could in the past, meet at 10 a.m., we're meeting at 6 to 9 p.m. In order to get things done. We have to better leverage technology as well, and we're really coming up to speed on that. We now have a snazzy website, we're very proud of it, but we're also leveraging social media, the Twitter accounts, Facebook accounts, and participating electronically. But I find that young women, middle-aged women, older women remain urgent about the need for change. And WCC is helping to craft a 21st century, what I call civic engagement model, which leverages old technologies and new technologies. I like to think of us as high tech and high touch. As we move into technology, many people are still saying there's a value for the social component of our work.
Definitely.
Just bringing us together
It's that
to
whole
talk.
group
And
support.
we have to do that as well. So we're trying to truly balance this. And that's why, and before I go on, the resources, the tools we produce are critically important, because when we produce our guide and we send it out to our members, they believe and find that they're investing in something that is advancing and creating change. So I think our members are very engaged. I think more people want to be engaged. We have the issue of needing additional funding and financial support to ensure that we can extend our reach.
Yeah. Well, you know how to do that.
Well, yes.
To look for it. You have an extraordinary background. You were born in Jamaica?
Yes.
And how old were you when you came here?
I was 20 when I came
Oh,
here.
so you had already gone to school?
I had gone to school and completed the first year at the University of the West Indies there. So I came and wrapped up my education here. And then I have been in New York City I went to Indiana for undergrad. I did my graduate studies at SUNY Stony Brook. And then I've lived in New York City since.
What made you come here? I'm always interested in how people,
Well, we were fortunate. My entire family migrated, so it came with mom and dad were
Everybody.
leaving,
Oh,
and the kids went, and so just really, I think carrying from home the commitment to community. And I was very fortunate. I was raised during the era of Michael Manley. I came
Yeah.
of social
Right.
awareness at that time.
Yeah.
And then I've always looked at how America created change. This idea of civic engagement is at the heart of this country, from the Boston Tea Party
Exactly.
through to the Civil Rights Movement.
Yeah.
It's always been people that drive the power that be to create
Exactly.
change.
Exactly.
And that's why it's critically important that women come back to being relentless advocates. We cannot, once we have gained a victory, we cannot stop. We have the responsibility of educating those coming, or else we'll find ourselves exactly where we are. We seem to have retreated. We have to go back to regain the gains we thought we had secured, and we have to push forward. And I think that's the urgency that remains. The issue of pay equity. We're part of an ERA coalition to ensure that we have the Equal Rights Amendment. And every year that bill is introduced into Congress. Nobody, who knew? Now we need to have this coalition to ensure that we protect women's rights in this.
Do women in the organization, does the tradition of the organization push them?
The tradition absolutely does.
Yeah.
As we're celebrating our centennial, we're looking back a lot on history to recognize that Frances Perkins was one of our founding members, not
She
just
was.
a member,
Yeah,
a
for
founding
people who
member.
don't know, she was Secretary of Labor.
She was the first female
Roosevelt.
cabinet member,
Yeah.
and the Secretary of Labor who gave us Social Security, unemployment benefits, child labor laws. We're living on her legacy
Remarkable
for
woman.
60
Yeah.
years. Also in our membership was Eleanor Roosevelt, who was
Yeah.
legislative director for 5 solid years, working
really?
on bills.
Isn't that incredible?
Fascinating work. Lillian Wald, who created Henry Street Settlement, and as we did our research, I learned that she was a co-founder with W.E.B. Du Bois for the NAACP. So recognizing these incredible women who at the time had no opportunity to vote, but were absolutely determined without the right to vote, they were going to have a voice. We have the right to vote. It is essential
So
that
we
we
get that
continue
voice.
to have that voice.
We have to understand that we vote, that we elect officials who are responsible to us.
They are accountable to
we're
us.
the bosses.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Council Member.
Right.
And I think that's what we miss.
Yeah.
I think that as citizens, that's what we
Right.
miss. And we need to remember that, in essence, we pay you.
Exactly.
And we want to be bosses who understand and are supportive, but we expect accountability. And there are lots of things left undone. And I think women, in this democracy, we have a need and a right to step up and to support our legislators, but also to say, you're missing this aspect of it. We're still, 74 cents, 75 cents
Yeah.
on the dollar? It's like, get over it,
Yeah.
So we need to create those changes.
So continue. You've worked mostly in nonprofits, or always?
Yes.
No,
yes.
you worked for a bank.
Well, I worked for. I worked
What
for
a great
bank.
job.
I worked for Citigroup, actually doing the same thing I do in nonprofits,
Yeah.
which is to extend the resources of the financial institution to low and moderate income communities. And in that space, I worked with national nonprofits to create programs so that we could create financial products that help the unbanked become banked, that help people own homes, that improve credit ratings for the citizens of this country. So I've always done the same type of work, but throughout every sector, nonprofit, philanthropy. I was a grant maker with the New York Women's Foundation, investing in women and girls and programs that advance economic security.
And the United Way.
And the
Let's not
United
forget
Way
that.
of New York City. And just, I think I've been very fortunate to be in this city for 28 years, doing essentially the same thing, advancing economic security for low and moderate income families and for women and girls.
And all from different viewpoints.
All from different viewpoints. And I think that's the other thing, that in order to address this issue, it's not just the nonprofit sector. We have to create a cross-sector collaboration, that we need the private sector, we need government, and we need nonprofits, and we need philanthropy. And that's why when we look at deep investments being made, the Young Women's Initiative with the City Council and the Novo Foundation and the New York Women's Foundation, there's some $100 million combined being invested nationwide in women and girls over the next 5 to 7 years. Tremendous opportunity for us to increase our engagement in the city, to advance our leadership. And that's the other thing that WCC wants to do. We're creating a Policy Advocacy and Leadership Institute.
Right. Now, where do you meet?
We meet in many places, but our offices are at 40th and 6th.
And how often does the whole group meet?
The whole group is 300 plus people,
Yeah.
so we never
You never
at
have
any
a whole
point-
membership.
But we do have an annual meeting. October 26th is our annual meeting
and where
this
is
year.
that
It's
gonna
going to
be?
be at the International House and 500 Riverside Drive. Really fortunate that Heather McGee, president of Demos, will be our keynote speaker. So
And everybody's welcome?
everybody's welcome. There will be a small fee for non-members, but everybody's definitely welcome to come. Again, visit our website, WCCNY.org.
So we've come to the end of this program.
Thank you.
I guess I have to rejoin. I haven't joined for a
Please
long
do.
time. But
Please do.
what a fortunate thing to have you as the executive director.
And I'm really fortunate to be there.
And the organization sounds terrific. Thank you.
Thank you, Ronnie.
Very good.
Real pleasure.
Thank you. We at CUNY TV always like to hear from our viewers. So if you have any subjects you'd like to explore or people you'd like to hear, please let us know. Write to us at CUNY TV, 365 Fifth Avenue, New York, New York, 10016, or go to our website, cuny.tv, and click on Contact Us. We look forward to hearing from you.